Hello guys, my name is Shamera, and I wanted to start this video off by telling a little bit about myself and kind of explain what some of my content will be about. So my name is Shamera, and I'm originally from Philadelphia, PA. My desire of profession is nursing. I always wanted to be a nurse. I always wanted to actually take care of children. So that's my ultimate goal. So right now I'm in the process of starting the nursing program 2021. So I wanted to give some information and a few key points to people that are going into the nursing program, don't know how to get in the nursing program, don't know what tests to take to get into the nursing program. If you're doing like an associate's degree, which requires even the PASS ATI test or the Kaplan. So the test that I personally had to take was the TEAS test. So I can't really give too much information on the Kaplan or the PASS because I haven't taken those tests. So I just wanted to give some information on the subjects, how many questions, and also what study guides and books and things that I got some of my information from. So it has been a long process for me getting accepted into programs, just trying to find my way through the whole experience of college. My mom and my father wasn't college graduates, so I feel as though they didn't really have like a lot of information to like steer me the right way. So this experience that I have was just like something that I've learned from myself. Like I had nobody to kind of like guide me, don't do this, do that. I'm kind of just learning it for myself. So I felt like it was my duty to kind of help other people, because I know it's some people that's in my shoes right now, and it's a lot of different obstacles that I could have bypassed if I would have had more information on some of these things that I want to tell y'all. So my school that I go to is an associate's program, so they require a few courses, your basic prerequisites like anatomy and physiology. They want you to have both with lab. English, they want you to have nursing math, just basic like requirements. It's about 5 or 6 courses that you can really take that quick within a year if you have the time for it, but it shouldn't take you that long to do those courses. So when you're done those courses, that's when you can go ahead and petition for the nursing program. Now, when you petition for the nursing program, you have to have the TEAS test done, and every school is different with their requirements. My particular school, they want you to have a total score of 59%, but you have to score a certain percentage in each subject: English, math, science, and reading. So some may say, oh, that's easy, and it's more difficult for some people. Let's be real. I wasn't a person that passed the first time, because I've done well in reading. I've done okay in English that first time. I did horrible in science, which I was so confused about because I got B's in A&P 1 and 2, and I loved that class, but that particular subject was my weak point. So I feel like everybody has their strong points and their weak points when it comes to the TEAS test, and you kind of have to experience that for yourself. Some people could just take the TEAS test without studying. It just depends on you. But this video is for people that kind of have more of a hard time, or if you work and you don't have a lot of time, you have children. I do have a 6-year-old, so I completely understand. I do work, so I get it. Like, it's not easy for people that is going this route and that has responsibilities, bills, and with COVID going on, all of this, people getting sick, family members get sick, having to take care of people. It's a lot. So I just made this video to try to help people not make things hard on themselves, or feel discouraged because maybe you have taken a test and you haven't passed your first, second, or third time. I just want people to not get discouraged and give up on themselves. and keep God first. Keep him first. So let's get started. So the first recommendation of a book that I've used that helped me the most with the TEAS test is this book, the ATI TEAS Secrets book. I know everybody been ranting and raving about this book because this book is so detailed. This book really helped me out a lot with learning a lot of different things. Even math, I was not really good at math, but this book explained so much about math that I needed to know. So I would say that this book is definitely something that I would invest in. You can get this book off of Amazon, and I think that they may have a new updated version, but this is one, obviously one of my friends actually gave me this book, so it had been through one person before me, but it's the same stuff. So the math, you just want to make sure that you're touching back up with fractions, decimals, percentages. Those three things are very, very crucial when it comes to the TEAS test. Make sure that you are going back over those things. It may seem like it's simple, but it's easy to forget. Like, I'm 26. I mean, I've been out of high school for a few years now. So it's like, once you start studying, it's going to come back to you. It's going to come back, but you don't want to feel like, oh, math is my strong point. And no, even if you don't have to study it much, still go over those basic points with the math. For reading has always been a strong point for me. So I didn't really spend a lot of time on my reading section, but you want to make sure that you know the main topics, the subjects. You need to know if they're giving you a question about what is the most important topic in this paragraph, or what is the let me give you an example. Give me 1 second. So what is the supporting detail to this question, and what is the topics and the main ideas? You have to make sure that you know those things. I feel like the reading was pretty simple for me, but I seen people talk about it a lot, and a lot of people do struggle in reading. So my personal opinion, I scored about an 89.4 in reading. So I'm gonna give you my honest opinion with reading. I feel as though, like, it seemed like that reading part go by so fast, because it really do. Even though it has like the most questions, it really goes by fast. So I feel like time management is so important for you to have with that reading part. You need to make sure that you are not distracted and your mind is clear when you're reading the passages. Make sure that you're reading the passages. What always helped me with reading was actually going to the question first, so I kind of know what to look for. But that don't work with everybody, but that works for me. So I will go to the question first, then I'll go to the passage. I'll go to the question, then I'll read the passage again, and then I would slowly like start to comprehend. You want to make sure that you're comprehending what you're reading when it comes to that reading section. I feel like reading was kind of just basically what's your understanding of, like I said, those main topics and the main ideas. And the reading wasn't really that hard. Just make sure that you're taking your time and that you have a clear mind when it comes to going through the reading section, because it's very easy to get confused between what's is this expository, persuasive. Like, you have to make sure that you're really reading and paying attention, and also following directions, because they do have some questions where they may give like a recipe and they may ask you, when will you brown the meat, or something like that. They'll give you like questions like that, and you have to make sure that you're able to read that recipe and go step by step. And it can be tricky, so you have to just really, really, really pay attention to what the question is asking you. I went over math. For math, when I first took it, like, I didn't do well. I think my first attempt, I got like a 50-something% on the math. But I also didn't study either, but I still didn't expect to get like a 50 something. So when I actually went over and started studying these things, it came to me. And when I took it again, I eventually got over 80% in the math too. So like I said, knowing your numbers and operations, knowing how to add and subtract, knowing how to add, subtract, multiply, divide fractions, knowing simple division, knowing simple multiplication. Like, just look over your stuff that you may have, you know, maybe some time ago. So, you know, just making sure that you going over those points, even if you don't have to spend so much time in math, because maybe that's your strong point. Just make sure that you go over it, because like, you'd be surprised at those simple things that you could have got if you would have went over it for even a few minutes. Do use some practice worksheets and different things like that. So science, this is everybody's, oh, science. I know, because I didn't pass the science my first time. And like I said, I didn't study, but I thought that I would do good, because when I first took it, I was fresh out of anatomy and physiology. So I thought that most of the science was really anatomy and physiology. It's most of it, but you also have scientific reasoning, and you also have life sciences. So with the A and P, I never really done bad, but it was the other two portions of the sciences that I didn't do too well in. So it messed up my score. So for the science, of course, you want to make sure that you really know these 11 systems. Most likely, if you're on this video, then you kind of know what the 11 systems are. I'll give you an example. Respiratory system. You want to make sure that you definitely know the hormones. Make sure you know the functions. Just make sure that you really just spend a lot of time on A and P, because it's so complex. So you want to make sure that you're going over every single system and every portion of the system. I recommend really spending a lot of time on A and P, because even if you don't do well in scientific reasoning and life sciences, like, you'll still pass if you do very well on the A and P section. But if you work so hard with A and P, you know, you should pretty much, try your best and focus too on the scientific reasoning. Those portions were pretty tough for me. I don't know why, but it just was. You have to know how to identify like the independent variable and the dependent variable, and some chemistry. You want to make sure you kind of go over chemistry. And I've taken chemistry, but some of it wasn't coming to me. So it's like, you got to kind of go over a lot of different things. And again, this book is going to help you. You probably can't really see because of brightness, but this book is really going to help you go over a lot of the subjects with the constants, the variables, the control variables. So you want to make sure that you're going over the control group, just a lot of those different things. And English. So about English, to believe it or not, English was my worst subject. And I always loved English. I always did well in English. My whole life, high school, always got A's. I was in like college level Englishes and different things like that. But I guess I lost it. Like, again, I understand being, you're not going right out of college when you get out of high school, and you kind of forgetting those basic things. And English is one of them. So you want to make sure that you're going over your verbs, your nouns. You want to make sure that you're going over like how to spell, because they'll trick you up with spelling things wrong and asking you which one is spelled the right way. And honestly, it's easy to forget that kind of stuff too, because it can be a little confusing. And I don't want people to get discouraged, because you could do anything you put your mind to at the end of the day, but you just want to make sure that you're preparing yourself for these tests, because they're expensive. Like, especially in a time like this, people can't really afford to pay. I know my test is basically $100. So who can really afford to keep spending hundreds of dollars on these tests? And also maybe having one time or maybe 3 times to take it. You don't have unlimited time to take it, so you want to make sure that you're really applying yourself and taking your time and studying, because it'd just be a waste of money and a waste of time. I've been there, done that. So with your English, you want to make sure, like I said, that you know basic spelling. You want to make sure that you know your plurals, your make sure that you know your homographs, the difference between two, the difference between like the proper nouns, and you want to make sure that you know the common nouns. You want to make sure that you know the difference between first person, second person, third person. You want to make sure that you know I, you, he, she. You need to know these things. And for, like I said, for some people, it could be like, oh, that's common sense. But for us, whoever with me, listen, I get it, because I would consider myself being kind of smart, but I did horrible in English. And I also feel like because it's the last subject that you're getting tested on, I kind of at that point get tired of testing. So I'm kind of just ready to be done. But don't think that way. It's like 28 questions. So you don't really have a lot of like points to get wrong. So you want to make sure that you're taking your time. I always would go through that section so fast and kind of not go back and look over my stuff, which I regret. So yeah, but you want to make sure that you're taking your time with English, because it takes nothing for you to do horrible with those 28 questions. So definitely knowing your verbs, knowing your action verbs. You just have to know a lot of different things. But like I said, make sure that you get this book, okay? This book is going to help you with a lot. And I know that for some of these books, I know when I had my own personal copy, I would go on the Mometrics website, and I actually paid for the practice test that they had, and I think that helped me out a lot. So me personally, with my experience, for me, because there's some people who didn't spend a penny and they used a lot of free resources. I didn't. I actually paid money to pass this test the best that I could. So, and everybody isn't fortunate enough to do that, and I understand. I'm not even fortunate enough to do that. But I just invested in, you know, myself, because I felt like that's something that I needed to do for me. So with the Mometrics, you can go on their website, and I think it's called like Mometrics Academy. You can look on there, and it's so many tests. I would spend probably like 2 hours a day, and I would just constantly go on every single day, and I would do every subject like every day. Sorry, my nose itching, shoot. I don't know. And also, this book do have tests in the back, practice tests in the back too. So